Hi, I'm Michelle Hammond, and I'm the botanist with the East Bay Regional Park District. And today I'll be talking to you about planting pathogen-free, our Stewardship Phytosanitary contract to grow. So in my talk today, I'm going to cover resource protection, some challenges we find with that, what is planting pathogen-free, what kind of planting is the Park District doing, what is our Stewardship contract to grow, and some next steps. So at the district, we have amazing resources that we need to protect and incredible diversity in our vegetation communities. A lot of you probably already know that California is a global hotspot of biodiversity. This native diversity makes vibrant and resilient plant communities throughout our two-county region. Park District staff in all of our different capacities are the keepers of this diversity. This view in the Ohlone Wilderness, which is a park that is in the Hamilton Range in the southwest corner of Alameda County, shows here on this slide, shows native grasslands, oak woodlands, and chaparral communities. We've done repeated surveys in this corner of the Park District, and we keep adding to our knowledge of its amazing plant communities with new county records and new rare plants. At the other end of the district, we have Point Pinol's salt marsh along the northern San Francisco Bay that has some of the rarest and most threatened plants and animals. This purple-gray flower is soft birdsbeak, which is an annual forb that grows from seed every year after it floats around as the pickleweed floods in the high tides, especially in the winter months. Salt marshes on district property have the highest proportion of our endangered plant species that only grow here and are threatened by the loss of habitat due to climate change and sea level rise. This diversity is what creates resiliency in our plant communities and our parks. This diversity is one way our parks can stand strong against the current threats that are caused by climate change. Our native plants are adapted to drought and fire, like this maritime chaparral stand in Huckleberry. Chaparral plants, like pallid manzanitas, can survive with very little precipitation. Dense native plant communities are also resistant to non-native plant invasion. We want to keep this beautiful and diverse plant community healthy. One threat these plant communities are struggling with is introduced plant diseases. Plant pathogens that cause these diseases are something we want to keep out of our parks or contain and manage them once they are found. Pathogens are threatening our plant communities, specifically here, a rare community, maritime chaparral. Sudden oak death is one of the diseases that most people have heard about, but there are many other related pathogens that are threatening our plants. Some spread through the air and some spread through the soil. This picture shows a pallid manzanita in Huckleberry that has died from a pathogen called Phytophthora cinnamomi that is spreading through the soil downhill from the edge of our park. Phytophthora cinnamomi likely spread from a nursery potted plant in someone's garden above the park. This is another photo from Huckleberry. Sadly, a stand of dead huckleberries. This pathogen is also killing the other shrubs in this rare plant community. This slide shows the opposite of what we want to see in our parks. This is what we try to prevent and protect our plant communities against. So, what are we doing to help our plants resist these threats? What are we doing to help keep the plant communities under our care resilient to these changing times? There's lots of things we're doing in stewardship to fight these threats. I'm going to talk to you about one of them today. By planting clean plants that are pathogen-free, we make sure the Park District does no harm. We can work together to stop the introduction of pathogens in our parks and plant locally adapted native plant communities in park landscaping and restoration projects. In order to make it easier for park staff to get clean plants, Stewardship set up a contract to grow with the Watershed Nursery, providing the funds and management of the project. We wanted to know where our clean plants were needed, so we asked who's planting in our parks. We found out that there's a lot of different staff and programs that are planting, from stewardship to rangers to gardeners, naturalists, environmental programs, volunteers, and even at park residences. People love to plant, but that's potentially a lot of risk. So where are we planting? In every corner of the park district, including restoration projects, pollinator wildlife gardens. We're renovating facilities like Roberts Pool and Keller Beach. We have demonstration native plant gardens, which are amazing. We are planting native plants in our visitor centers, our staging areas, and our parking lots. So we started a contract to grow with the Watershed Nursery, who will collect seed and propagate the plants. To make sure the plants are the best choice for where we want to plant them, the nursery collects seed as close to the planting area as possible. For example, the Snoll Visitor Center, the rangers and the docents chose species that are within the park and helped us locate where to collect seed. For shoreline parks with limited native plant communities like Martin Luther King, we make sure the plants are from somewhere along the San Francisco Bay shoreline or just inland to collect seed from, essentially a shoreline ecotype. This way, we are growing plants that are as locally adapted to the growing conditions where they are going to be planted. Although the primary reason we contract with the Watershed Nursery is because they follow strict, clean, phytosanitary best management practices. The Watershed Nursery is currently the only nursery in the East Bay that follows clean phytosanitary practices. There are 2 more in the general region, but more and more clean nurseries are coming online every year. Some land agencies, like the San Francisco Water District in this picture, have built their own clean nurseries to grow the plants they need for restoration and landscaping. The basic pathogen-free protocol these nurseries follow is start clean and keep it clean. They use disinfected pots, heat-treated soil, clean water, and they disinfect their growing area. Most importantly, they test their plants for pathogens, including Phytophthora, on a regular and rigorous schedule. If you want more information about clean propagation protocols, you can contact me, and you can also look at this website from Phytosphere Research. So, what we don't want to see in a growing area used to be common in a lot of nurseries up until 10 or so years ago. And on this slide, you can see a work area surface that is a wooden bench. And it also looks very wet and impossible to disinfect. Might even have water ponding on that workbench. The clean nursery is a metal bench, which is very easy to disinfect, and it has that mesh top opening where the water will just drain through. Another important practice is to keep everything in the process clean. Here are 2 piles of soil waiting to go into pots. The first pile is much harder to keep clean because it's outside, it's on the ground, and it's unprotected. The clean nursery stores the heat-treated soil off the ground with a cover when not in use. The surface of the clean nursery storage area is cement, and it's also free of weeds and other contaminants. The plants need to be stored up on tables to prevent splash from the ground. The plants being stored on the ground are much more likely to get infected with pathogens from this water splash or ponding water after rain or irrigation. And whenever you're buying plants, ask questions about their disinfection practices and look around. So we got a really diverse response from park staff about our contract to grow. Some park staff were interested in planting advice. They want to know what to plant and how to plant it. And some of the rangers and the gardeners, they already know about their native plant communities, and they had a list that was ready to go. A lot of folks wanted to plant pollinator and wildlife friendly landscaping as well. And from all the good feedback and the enthusiasm for this grow, we added a second year. So what is our grow? Well, we had 19 parks the first year. We grew 31 species, and we had 852 plants ready this fall. And the cost was around $23 a plant, although this included seed collection. The second year, we have 23 parks signed on. Some are new parks, some are repeat parks coming back for more plants. We're growing 35 species, and there are 750 plants ordered. Now, all of these plants could have come from traditional nurseries without phytosanitary or clean practices. We could have had almost 2,000 plants that have a high risk of introducing pathogens into our parks, but we avoided this with our contract to grow. So what were the most common species requested in the grow? They were all pollinator plants. All these species are great for nectar, for berries, for birds and butterflies and other animals. The coast live oaks support a huge variety of insects, in addition to acorns for all the squirrels and woodpeckers. So what are our next steps? Well, the contract to grow plants are ready for pickup this month, and we'll have additional plants ready next fall and fall of 2024. We plan in Stewardship to create a future training that has guidance for landscaping or restoration project plantings. You can contact stewardship@ebparks.org for planting information. And I also really want to grow more oaks that look like this one in 200 or 300 years. So why do we offer this contract to grow? We wanted to support staff with technical advice and disease-free plants. And we wanted to support biodiversity with locally adapted plants like this milkweed and pipevine that are host plants for butterflies. And we wanted to keep our plant communities resilient with diverse native species that can withstand the current threats that they face. So with planting pathogen-free, we can help people feel more connected. We can conserve biodiversity with clean and locally adapted plantings. We can educate park users about the importance of native plants, and we can leave the parks in a better state than we started. And thank you very much for your time.